That was.
Call into order the meeting of the Southborough Zoning Board of Appeals for April 15th, 2026. We are at the Public Safety Building this evening and also available online. So the first item on our agenda for the public hearing tonight is 12 Wood Street, Alberta Jarrah, Pike Universe LLC special permit. Looking to allow an extension or alteration to a pre-existing non-conforming structure. Or do you have one of the public notice?
Sure. The Board of Appeals of the Town of Southborough will hold a public hearing at the Public Safety Training Room, 32 Porterville Road, Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 7:00 p.m. with regard to the petitions of Alberta Jarrah, Pike Universe LLC, 12 Wood Street, Southborough, Mass. The petitioner is seeking a special permit to allow an extension and/or alteration to a pre-existing non-conforming structure. The property is located in the Residence B district. The relief was requested under section 174-19 and section 174-9. I have the applicant online.
Okay. Oh, did you bring them over?
I did.
Okay, great. Is there somebody want to speak to the application or do a presentation?
I guess this awkward.
Because now he's gonna see our heads, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Mike.
All right. I have so the homeowner and Matt is his representative.
Okay. He's on you.
Matt and Alberto, we are ready whenever you are.
He's on mute.
Yeah.
We're ready.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good evening. Well, thanks. How about yourself? Yeah. You have something to present, or you just have a project narrative or something you want to discuss?
I'm sorry about that. I just got my audio back. Yeah, we have the project narrative we uploaded that you guys have there with the application. You're looking for something else other than that, or?
Probably not. I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
No, not at all. It's just that simple. It's just the deck we built. As went through the approval processes, no one realized that the lot in the back wasn't lined up with the deck itself. So, when we came to doing the as-built for the survey, we realized why we do as-built for a survey, because it showed clearly that it had changed a few feet, which we didn't catch on our preliminary looks or through the process.
So this is on a pre-existing non-conforming, correct? So we already knew there was some non-conformity, and this is a change from 16 feet to 13 feet, right?
That's exactly right.
And am I right in that where the deck is looks out onto really like the Sudbury River? Just it's not like it's backing up to a neighbor, correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, I honestly am a little confused about the plot plan compared to Google Maps, but I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, I think the plot plan shows exactly what happened. But I just wanted to ask that to begin with, but I'll let's see if anybody from the board has some questions for you. We'll start with Jamie.
I don't have anything.
Doris.
I don't have any questions. I've been out to the property.
Okay.
Yep. So
Well,
no question.
no questions. No questions. Mike? No. Okay. Now, Doug?
No questions.
Okay. Sorry. Site pop up there. We don't have any butters or anybody else from the public that wants to has anything to say?
I have one person online, but no hands raised.
Okay. All right. We don't have somebody from another public forward. All right, seeing how we don't have any questions here, and I think this is indeed relatively straightforward, probably. Let's talk. Have a motion.
Motion to close public meeting?
Second.
All right, motion closed with second. All in favor, respond with aye. Opposed, nay. Jamie,
Aye.
Doris,
Aye.
Paul, aye. Mike, aye. Williams, aye. Doug.
Aye.
All right, seeing that we don't have any questions and we close the public meeting, it seems pretty straightforward to approve the special permit as written, that's applied. So,
Make motion to approve the application as written for 12 Wood Street.
12 Wood Street, that's correct. All right, then have a second.
I'll second that.
All right, there's a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Opposed, nay. Jamie,
Aye.
Doris,
Aye.
Paul, aye. Mike, aye. Doug,
Aye.
Williams, aye. All right, thanks very much. You are approved. Now Laura will give you a few more details on the timeline.
So we're gonna draft the written decision and have that for you, hopefully next week. And then we will file that with the town clerk. I'll notify you as soon as that's filed. Once it is filed, there's a 20-day appeal period. Once that is over, if there's no appeals, the town clerk will certify the decision. And then you can record it at the registry of deeds. Just provide me with proof of recording once you do that, and you'll be all set.
Thank you so much,
All right.
guys. Have a good
All right.
night. I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Everything. Losing track of where you have all the. So it's now 7:08 and the next hearing we have on the agenda is 7:15, so we might want to take care of the meeting minutes from the last meeting. I had a minor thing to fix in there. I don't know if anybody else had anything. Just, I don't understand. I can't seem to find it. Yes, it's working. Sort of.
For the March 18th.
Yeah. All right.
How about that zoning decision, huh? Town meeting?
Nice work,
Yeah,
Doris and
okay.
Mike.
We just had one odd objector.
It's okay.
Okay, well,
Let it throw.
next time someone,
You gotta remember, like, this is town meeting.
yeah, well, I was
And the
reminded on
most-
the advisory meeting
Most
too.
straightforward thing you could ever imagine.
I just, yeah, straightforward. Thank God the voters were there. That sort of solved that.
I was worried we were gonna lose a quorum.
Yeah.
I was too.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We were right,
We're
I
getting
think,
close.
123.
Yeah,
We're getting
it's
close.
like, come on, put us at the top, but. You know, it was good. It's wonderful. It went through. It's really a good thing for the town.
Threshold for quorum.
100. I was watching it, Mike. It was really
Yeah.
tight. It was really there, you know.
Yeah, after Marnie's amendment passed, I saw a bunch of people leave and I was just like, oh.
So the time was spent on the presentations for the DPW, which is, they did a phenomenal presentation, if you ask me. I know it's $25 million in debt. But I feel like the roads and sidewalks are going in and the safety piece was,
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it, except I wish they'd given us a little bit more meat on it. Oh, just like, oh yeah.
you were just doing secret,
security.
yes, secret security.
1.4.
Yeah,
Can't tell you
no,
anything
you're
about
right. No,
that.
you're right. Secret security. That
Right.
is what they were doing.
Really?
So there was a fire at Neary, not Neary Finn, there was like a smoke alert, and my grandson goes there. And they really did a good job, the teachers, but essentially the communication was still slow. So there was a boiler had bubbled over, causing smoke in a section. They had to put the kids out with very limited clothing out in the freezing cold. It was very cold this winter. And then they brought them in finally, and they had a huddle. And by the time we got the information, I'm going down to get them. You know, I just ran down to get them. They were just so frightened, the kids. So, you know, there was this like, well, not a fire. Smoke is a fire, so smoke's a fire. The little ones were.
There's smoke, there's fire.
I can't imagine being 5 in public and outside in the cold and then in the gymnasium.
Yeah, imagine
Oh,
it now,
yeah.
47.
So if.
No, they're saying the word fire. They got
Right,
the kids were pretty upset. Picking them up, but I mean, absolutely upset. But to enhance what it was excellent, and actually who ends up having to be the first people are the teachers, you know,
Mhm.
teachers
So,
huddled around the kids to keep them warm.
so regarding the meeting minutes from March 18th, did anybody have any other concerns with the meeting minutes as written? I did find what the minor, it was a minor fix that I just gave to Laura. But otherwise, they were fine with me. Did anybody else have any issues?
No.
Okay. Doug, is it? Okay. Still scheduled, but,
Make a motion to approve the minutes as drafted.
Second,
all right, motion to approve the minutes of, who's that?
March
Yeah,
18th.
drafted.
March 18th, that drafted. With amendment, yeah.
Well, that's why you're here. Hasty thoughts.
With a second, all in favor, respond with aye, opposed nay. Jamie,
Aye.
Doris.
Aye.
Paul. Aye. Mike.
Yes, I.
Okay. Doug.
Abstain.
Okay. And Williams, aye. All right.
Really quick, who seconded that?
Was that, oh, did you second it or was it? Doris?
Not a thought too short.
Mhm.
I just eyed it.
Let's go. Oh, was it you, Doris?
No,
No, I didn't make it.
All right.
Or maybe I did. You made it, David. didn't you?
I did not.
I'll watch the tape.
Not, yeah, there you go. We'll go to the. So. We still have 2 more minutes. Right, I don't know how much we want to talk about the ADU bylaw, but I know we've just sort of talked about it a little bit informally. It was on the agenda just as a discussion item. My opinion was, I thought it went pretty well. I thought Doris and Mike both did a good job of making the case for it. As I was saying earlier, I mean, I see some strange things at town meeting, and like some of the things that we debated and we finally voted, it had to be 90% or more. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
overwhelming.
And
Yeah,
it's-
definitely
It was
overwhelming.
overwhelming. So while there, advisory had, concerns, which I thought were a little bit of a reach, in my opinion. I think most people saw it for what it was. So I thought it was very, very well done. So congratulations on getting something changed
That's a huge
in the
change.
zoning
actually.
code.
Yeah.
It's really.
It's not a minor
huge-
thing.
No, it was a huge change. It's a, Mike, it's a real good thing for the town, so that you could, 74%, largest, like, 74% of our residents could not use the ADU bylaw, new ADU, but the state mandated because we had other matters in there that limited the 900 square feet. And
Okay.
so it's a good thing. We're short on housing. Mimi Latrell got up and really did a very strong support of it. Mimi was for it, and then because I did do that advisory board meeting, and it was a 3 against and 2 for, and it really centered on the 300 square feet. And to be frank, like a very big invasion of all the people in Southborough going to rush to get ADUs. And I would think they would not put additional construction, that would try to use the layout of the house to put the apartment.
I thought like
I didn't. get it.
advisory was more against just the idea of ADU in general.
Well, that's what it felt
It was-
like.
It felt like they just
It
didn't
felt like
want it
the
at
extra
all.
300 feet was gonna cause an explosion.
Like-
No, I just got the impression that they didn't want it at all.
No, they
It's like
really
that-
didn't,
Yeah,
and,
that milk was out of the cow.
yeah, so, you know, I'd hoped, and if we're doing some other things in the future, that, you know, work with Laura to get a call out to attend the meetings, the public meetings. I was really pretty offended that there were no public meetings. It was, in my mind, last minute. In fact, it didn't make the warrant. Their opposition didn't make the warrant. Their vote.
Right.
So if they could,
Yeah, I'm not sure why they came in at the last.
it felt like the
Who
last.
was this?
Just the advisory.
The advisory called in and said, oh, by the way, what's this? I don't know what they did, but I said, sure, I'll go. I'll go to the
Yeah.
meeting. What's this bylaw warning? And I didn't really have a list of questions. They said they had concerns. I watched their video and it really primarily was about, no, they truly were concerned. Or 3 of the 5, 3 again, of adding 300 square feet or 33%, but I kept arguing.
Yeah.
It's still only 300 square feet. It's not 33% of a large number, it's 300 square feet. Probably in an existing structure. Why would you put construction on? A lot of our layouts are
Right.
2 and 3,000, but you simply did 34. None of that held water. They just were not
No.
for it. There was nothing I could do. And I said it was okay to vote against it, which then they were to vote against it. So hope everyone's okay with that. You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got that. All right.
Yeah, so we'll go to town meeting and amend it.
Yeah.
Go to town meeting
Yeah.
and don't vote for it. I just,
Yeah. All right, it's now 7:17 and we have 34 Turnpike Road as the next hearing on our agenda. I do know they requested for a continuance. So I know at the last meeting, I think there's people there who wanted to speak to it. You said, no, you have to wait. I had been thinking that if somebody attended tonight and they had something they wanted to say, I'd be willing to let them, because now it's 15, still another 13 minutes until it gets to 250 Turnpike. But I don't know if there's anybody here that has anything to say. They'd be welcome to if they want to. I'm not sure the people here are there for that. I'm gonna guess the answer.
So I have the 38 Turnpike Road have submitted the letter to the Board of Appeal.
If you want to speak,
Yeah.
I'll need you to come here and just state what your name and address is, please. I mean, I know they're continuing, but you also showed up to the last meeting, so I just think we ought to courtesy let you have your say.
Yeah, so I just want to
I'm
read
sorry, your name and address?
Car Ban, 38 Turnpike Road.
38, okay, yep.
I just want to say that we have filed the letter to the Board of Appeals informing that there was 2 complaints filed for the zoning board and for the Board of Health.
Okay.
Just in the letter to the Boards of Appeal, we are just informing you.
Okay, so I'll just to get you up I did speak with the building commissioner and he said, yeah, it's, what he did was not permitted. So it's definitely a problem. I spoke with the Board of Health today and, he said the same thing. They never got the approval they were looking for. But, I think, in fairness, we can't really debate this on the board this evening, simply because the applicant has asked for an extension.
Okay.
I appreciate you, your concerns, and I don't want you to leave without having the ability to say
Okay,
so.
so I'm just trying to understand how we can be informed about what is happening, and let's say how does where is the board and like zoning board and the Board of Health are on the process. So I'm just probably asking when would be the next time this will be heard.
So they asked for a continuance because they're still working on their issues. So our next, and I think our next meeting is planned for May 6th. Is that correct? So we'll have it on the agenda for May 6th.
May 6th.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thanks for coming. So we still have 10 minutes. What were the other? So we had the minutes. Okay.
Before you move on, sorry. I just want to update you guys that we do have the original closed site plan for 34 Turnpike.
Oh, right.
plus the as-built, we
Yeah.
did get that.
Yep.
I'm just waiting on the project narrative and building elevations, just to give you guys a little bit more of a full picture of what's
Yeah.
going. And then also you guys need to go on.
Oh, okay, all right.
Laura, are
Okay,
we
right.
gonna get in? On. Corrections, they talked about that, we're gonna see some corrections. There were complaints, will they
Yeah.
update us at the next meeting on those?
I think we'll update it.
All right,
Yeah.
But yeah, so Laura's right.
okay,
We need to make a motion to continue the hearing until May 6th. Do we have anything else on the agenda?
We have one other one, so I would continue to 7:15.
So we just. You know what, I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 34 Turnpike until May 6th at 7:15.
I'll second it.
All right, motion to continue has been made with a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Opposed, nay. Jamie,
Hi.
Doris,
Aye.
Paul, Mike,
Aye.
Doug. And William.
Have we changed the meeting date in May? Somehow that shifted around from the normal Wednesday.
It is May 6th. We talked about.
I wanna
Okay,
shoot
no,
with
just
May
double
6th.
making sure.
Yeah, Jenny has she's gonna be out, so. I'll see if I can get kid coverage, but
Okay,
if it's in person, is it in person?
I mean,
I have it scheduled in person just because I had to put the public hearing notices out today for that new
yeah.
one, so I have it scheduled at the townhouse, but you could always join remotely.
Okay, so, yeah, but it'll have to, just because of that rules.
Sure, understood. Yeah, the problem is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bring kids to zoning board.
No, that'd be
It
interesting.
would absolutely be our most colorful meeting.
Yeah.
Be affordable and
Oh, that, there's some other adjectives that might use. I'll bring my dog.
Could be more
Yeah, that'd
fun.
be great. Please, they would go nuts.
I'll bring mine, they could babysit you.
Oh my God, oh, please.
There we go. They probably just.
Done and I'll pay them. So you can also my house, we're at a meeting,
Okay,
they can go bananas.
so, all right, so we did the town meeting brief. I don't know if there's more to say there. Just on the upcoming schedule, what do we have, so we have May 6th.
We have May 6th, and then we also changed June to June 10th, due to some conflicts, so I just wanna confirm that that date still works for you guys.
For me.
I don't know. Like.
Yeah.
Actually, I actually book around
Yeah.
those regular Wednesdays, which are never regular.
When are July and August?
Okay, Wednesday.
July is our standard one, which is.
So what day is it now in June?
10.
June 10th.
If it's possible, we get down to 20, possible.
But I'm around, it's just I don't know where. In town.
Talking about travel.
I don't have this.
Cause it's not.
Okay.
Nothing's fun, it's
Okay.
Sorry, you're part of it. Right?
Yeah. I know.
Good work. Family.
The two of you.
Selfish.
Jamie,
Okay,
the July meeting is July 5th and August 19th.
July what?
July 15th and August 19th. Those are still the third.
Okay, I'm praying maybes for both those. That's fine.
August 19th. I'm away August 19th. I can't make it.
August
So if I've
19th.
got them all in school, I go 19th. I can-
I don't know yet. I'm moving my daughter into college that week and I don't have dates yet. So
Oh my gosh, that's exciting.
yeah, very excited.
Alright, and then Doris, you said.
I'm absolutely
for
away, yeah,
19th.
no remote. I'm just down. I'm with my family. Which is hard to get them all, you know. I appreciate it. We have at the last at the end on our agenda, that's next agenda.
Sure.
Okay, that's gonna be at the end then. Yeah.
So. You have about 5 minutes. What? Doris, do you have discussion on two-family zoning, segment existing code and potential updates?
Yeah, so, and to respond to some feedback from one of our other zoning meetings. And then when I presented for the ADU, I know Mike wasn't, you and I were there, maybe I was there just alone the last
Oh, yeah.
time. in town planning.
Jack Bartolini.
Yeah, I don't know if Jack was at this meeting. I think he was at this meeting.
I was at the meeting when it showed up and yeah, concerned.
He had concerns of the
So it just
impact.
sounds like we need clarification. on it.
Yeah, so what, I talked to Jack about an open meeting and planning was to really take a look into the two family definitions and the 2-year rule. And just to begin a process to look at it. And I'm working on it. with
We'll probably have that discussion with the planning board as well.
Yeah, so Mimi assigned it to me in that planning meeting.
Well, that was good of her.
Yeah, I said, geez, thanks, Bill. You know, Jack was discussed, let's, get further into it before we get our facts together, before I start digging into it. But Jack was concerned specifically about the limitation on a 2-year rule. So you get a single family home. And you could not convert it. And the fear at the time when this law was made was you can have a lot of duplexes. So, the existing, accessory apartment rule. Which now was being utilized to kind of work around a 2-family situation, which wasn't the intent of an accessory apartment, but to kind of look at a couple things as multi-family.
Because I think you can put them in a separate thing, like what you're saying, 1,200 feet. Whereas the 2-family is more like, you don't have that restriction.
Right, you have a lot normal setback restrictions on 2-family. So we began to do some preliminary work to look at the definition of 2-family. What is that? And what's the definition of duplex? And is there a need for it? There is no special permit process for a large accessory apartment. It's capped at 1,200.
Well,
That's where
yeah,
Jack
I
is.
think that's something that we might have to actually be able to modify. Because I think it should stay explicit. Anything above.
We could, and we weren't against that. And I explained to advisory, we're just so far in the process that
Yeah,
we wanted to make a change and stay very focused on the fairness of what was in an ADU and then readdress special permit or address flexibility in 2-family debt. Because there's something in the 2-family that exists, I don't know, that conflicts with the mass law. Lavar, you're supposed to help me here. That was your cue. There's a piece, there's a piece.
With MGL,
What was that?
something that conflicts with MGL with the.
Yeah, it's something that conflicts with MGL. In the existing multifamily. So we're just working on it as it stands right now. There's something that conflicts or potentially conflicts,
yeah.
that could
I
be some,
think there was a question
yeah.
about if we allow 2-family, and maybe you know an answer to this. If there's a 2-family and they want to put an ADU that's allowed now by right. From the state regs is where that path goes, but I guess maybe that's a moot point because we just said you can go to 1,200 square feet as long as it's not larger. I think that was where
There
my
was something,
question, if you
yeah.
want to put an ADU, what's your square footage calculation based on? See if you have a 2-family versus just a single family.
County rattle.
So the other issue with special permitting, which was of great interest on the ADUs, right, every special permit. We were sort of stymied. We need to figure out what are our conditions? We have to have conditions to go to special permit. And time not allowing, we table it. So that's why that is.
That's more than 1,200 square feet.
Yeah, so what, and then what, right, it's a, we have to add conditions to come to us.
Or like, do you just want it to be your standard special permit?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure, I don't, I'll be to understand that better, because I don't always understand. I understand, but.
That's how we got off, that's how we got off the big rail of this, that's how we said, take the special permitting out, so we didn't have enough left
What's,
in the code, and that's how, yeah.
well, I think it was, to me, it was a matter of time. They wanted to get from Tom meeting. I don't want to start. But I mean, the conditions. Probably not. Clearly, if we're saying up to 1,200 square feet, somebody's got something that's way to 1,200 square feet. That would be. I don't know what other conditions.
Stretchy hand, so.
Which brought up the issue of And we get that done through two family, and it really wasn't the intent, maybe to get a lot of fun. So that's where the discussions, Laura's, putting together, with great speed, how many, two families we have in town. It seems 74 with some, not, with some uncertainties. And,
Okay.
no, you can't do that. You can't say who's in the family, who's on the.
We don't have definitions.
That's where we're like, define it, and do we need to define duplexes? And maybe that solves it through special permitting, when those are logged, I don't know. That's what we're doing. Then we have to go back to planning.
Special.
It's special.
I'm from this meeting.
But it would
Okay.
increase the housing stuff.
All right. Okay, let's get to the next item on our agenda. We have 250 Turnpike. I hear, for 50 Turnpike, Blackfield, Parkersville Road, up to 250 Turnpike LLC, comprehensive permit.
If you keep bear with me just 1 minute, Mr. Levine is going to.
Sure. That's fine.
I just want to point out that we have Joe here from Lucas Environmental, and I have Patrick from Howard Stein Hudson online as well. For peer review. Brian, is there anything that you want me to share on the screen? That would be helpful?
Not that I know of. We'll see as we go, but.
Okay, let me know.
We're not throwing. HSH is on the phone. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members, staff, town council. Thank you very much for your time. We're really glad to be here tonight to continue the public hearing regarding the 40B application at 250 Turnpike Road. You know me from prior meetings. I'm Brian Charvel with Ferris Development Group here on behalf of the applicant, joined by Attorney Lou Levine from the law firm of Daggett Levine. And also joining us tonight for the applicant team are my colleague, George Bonan, and our civil engineer from Expedited Engineering, James Tatro, and our wetland scientist, Ryan Rosine from Goddard Wetlands Consulting. We're pleased tonight to continue and hopefully conclude, if things go well, this hearing on the proposed 40B. By way of reminder, this is a 40B again at 250 Turnpike Road, 32 for rent townhomes. And it's important for you all to know from the first time we kicked off this hearing, the town, I think, was 74 units away from reaching 10% on the SHI inventory to trigger 40B safe harbor. And as of the most recent SHI, which came out last September, the town's, I think, just 3 units away. So I want you and the town to know that with approval of this comprehensive permit for this project, because they're all 32 for rent units, that the town would be in safe harbor. So that's an important context. Which would mean, you know, if anybody wanted to propose a 40B after that point, it would only be with the town's consent, it would have to be friendly, etc. And I want you also to know back when we began the project, we let you all know that there would be preference given to Southborough residents that seek to live here. Stick by that. So we're picking up from the last substantive hearing we had, which was last July 16th. And you'll remember from that discussion that the main focus was the tunnel, because a year ago in March, we conducted the migration study, which told us that there were certain species of animals out there And so the design was able to be changed last summer to accommodate a wildlife crossing, which was important to the peer reviewers. So we had the meeting on July 16th, and then on July 25th, the applicant submitted the updated site plan set, and that contained a crossing. Notably, I think it was about 65 feet long, but it connected the two sides of wetlands to enable the animals to migrate when to. An important progress we've been able to make in the set that is now before you, the plan set dated January 28th of this year, is as suggested, we were able to shorten the length of the wildlife crossing. So I think that's about 53 or 54 feet down. So we're able to cut 11 feet off of it. With that, in the most recent plan, there had been a grate shown, which you've seen is important for light and moisture to get into the tunnel. That had come off in the January plan set, the one before you tonight. We want you to know that that was, we thought maybe there wouldn't be a need for a grate because things are getting shorter. We can absolutely include that grate. So that to the extent that's feedback you've seen from the Conservation Commission, Lucas Environmental, wetlands peer reviewer, that can definitely be accommodated. So the grate, no problem. In the final plan set, you'll see that. So following our plan submission July 25th, you all received memos from your peer reviewers, I think around August 18th and 20th. HSH and Lucas weighed in, civil perspective and the wetlands perspective. And you've had that. In the fall, both of the peer reviewers asked for additional payments. The applicant made those payments because they're ongoing work. And then going into January, you developed a new site plan set. An important substantive update that happened along the way is the applicant focused on getting septic system approval with the Board of Health. And that approval was granted on December 23rd of last year. And I think that was confirmed in a letter to you all in January. So Board of Health is happy with that layout. In the set that you got, it was actually submitted in early March, but was site plan was dated late January. The inclusions were a full site plan set, an updated drainage area plan, drainage report, catch basin plan, the stormwater checklist, which I know we've been sought, groundwater mounting calculations, a buffer zone plantings plan, which was responded to very favorably by the peer reviewers, and an updated list of waivers. In order to get that shorter wildlife crossing, we extended the retaining wall. Also, and this made the peer reviewers happy, we were able to add upland plantings. And the idea there is, if you're walking the site, you may remember from the site walk we had, there's a lot of very tall trees, and then there's not a lot of shrubs or shorter trees or things. So the idea is with upland plantings, you're going to help with water absorption, etc. So we've added those kind of things. And there was a revised drainage and sewer layout to avoid conflicts in layout. Since early March, when the whole plan submission went in, and by the way, it's all on the ZBA's website for anybody in the public that's interested in seeing both our submissions and your peer reviewers' feedback. In the meantime, HSH sent a new updated review memo. Lucas sent one, and you all heard from James Emanuel, your landscape architect. He responded. And then you've seen memos from the Conservation Commission. And so I'd like to touch on each one of those briefly about sort of highlights and what we think we can do. First of all, in terms of plan tweaks, there's things like addition of a scale, make sure that the erosion control layer is added to a plan. Those all will be addressed. And if you'd like to condition the decision on those things being added, we want you all to know, no problem there. But we agree to all of those. Since receiving HSH's most recent memo, Mr. Tatro was able to speak with Patrick from HSH on what was maybe the most notable concern, which was road slope and it not being less than 1%. After they spoke in the meantime, we can achieve 1% road slope, and that's been confirmed.
I'm sorry,
We can achieve 1%.
I just want to make sure
yes.
it's can or can't.
And the basic practical reason for that is if the slope's too low, then you end up with puddling. And so we want the slope to be above 1%. So that is happening.
So 1% or greater.
Come again.
1% or greater. It will be 1%. It will be 1%. So.
HSH had mentioned a concern about details for the retaining walls, and there are several retaining walls. And Mr. Tatros agreed to revisit those designs. One of the plans had called for a Conigliaro block, a particular type of retaining wall, and he's looking at alternatives to that. HSH asked for an updated rates and volumes chart when it came to post-development drainage, and submit that. Update soil and cover information to reflect soil group D, no problem. Documentation about 60% phosphorus removal. And then notably at the end of HSH's most recent memo, they include suggested conditions for you all to include in your decision. We agree about those. The landscaping review was brief, no concerns there, we can address those concerns. There were mentions about changing some species so that all the proposed species of plants are natives, no problem. And also concerns about spacing, which will have Mr. Green, our landscape architect, adopt. Turning to Lucas's wetlands review. Again, just high level feedback. Add dates of observation, scales, etc. We will do that. Lucas noted that the reduced tunnel length for the wildlife crossing wasn't. They noted that the proposed wildlife fencing is appropriate. They included suggesting conditions like a complete site-wide invasive species management plan. We agree to do that. That may be a condition of your decision. There were questions raised about what we're doing to minimize the overall size of the project. And I just want to remind the board from when we first kicked this off, the original proposal was a 56-unit single building apartment house. And there were many concerns raised about that, especially by the abutters. And with our designs in the meantime, especially switching to townhomes and having it be shorter, we've tried to mitigate that. We've gone from 56 units down to 32. And we've looked at it economically, and 32 townhomes is the number that has economic feasibility for that. So that's why we're at 32. We had, looked at concepts that were at 36 or 40 units, but there was too broad a disruption. So we've gotten it down to 50. And that's what you've seen now for a few different planned iterations.
So can I just ask clarity on that? You're saying that 32, if you try to reduce below that, do not economic useful
Based on our performance.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to the conversation yesterday. I'm taking some of those comments more as, did you look at everything? Not
Yes.
must.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Agreed. And I appreciate that, because that was my read of many of the peer reviewers' comments is, for the ZBA to consider.
Right, exactly. Because I think, it's been since July. I think we're keenly aware of the fact that it was a bigger project. As I stated to George yesterday, I appreciate the fact that there was work done with, the abutters to bring it down to something that was smaller and that the townhomes were favorable. So, we're certainly aware of all of that. Sorry, go ahead.
Back to last July and the focus being the tunnel. You may remember, I think the design or the concept we saw then that Lucas had given feedback on was, I think, just 2 feet wide by 1 foot tall. And the real focus was on making it wider. That's what some of the studies pointed to. And the Lucas suggestion was get it to 4 feet wide, preferably taller. And with the designs you've seen since, we get it to 4 feet wide, and it is 2 feet tall. So imagine that as an area, especially, consider the species that we're talking about. You saw from the migration study, it's salamanders and frogs. And so whether it be 1 feet or 2, that should enable them to pass. And we appreciate that height doesn't just mean head height for them, but also light and moisture. And so we're helping achieve that with 2 feet. If you think about it in cross section, the culvert has to be placed at a certain height so the grade remains the same, where they're used to going up and down from wet area to wet area. So that sets the height of the culvert. And then we have to place pipes on top of that, and they have a certain thickness, etc. But they also have to, for flow reasons, when it comes to drainage, have a certain entering height and leaving height. So basically, we're going to have pipes laying on top of the culvert, and then a road above that. So there just isn't enough elevation, I guess is the way to put it, to enable the culvert itself
Have
to
more
be
height.
3 or 4 rather than 2.
Okay.
So I just want to walk through that. In talking with Goddard, there were suggestions that the detention basins be labeled as vernal pool or bordering vegetative wetland. And we think we can accommodate that. So there's already plenty. And that was really it for high level, and our read on the high level concerns, but I know Lucas is here.
Okay.
And then I just want to touch briefly on the planning board and conservation commission memos. That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. A lot of what the planning board touched on was that our design assumes a lot line change because of those units. I think it's 29 to 32. And they basically would utilize land that is presently part of another lot, not part of this 40B lot. And we've known that and want you all to know that if approved, we will do an appropriate A&R plan so that land is swapped and the right area becomes part of the 40B site. That's not a problem. We don't want to violate any lot line issues.
So Brian, clarification, you would do that after in the normal course?
We could, or if there was real certainty that this was close or wrapping up, we'd be happy to start that submission to the planning.
Yeah, no, I don't, but the idea was just to submit that via the traditional A&R process either way.
I think so.
Okay, all right.
As opposed to being part of this like other projects.
Okay.
Well, I guess we could submit the final A&R plan to this board.
I mean, in
No,
A&R,
6-1,
A&R is easy enough because it's mechanical,
So
so
you just prefer that we do it planning?
I would prefer I think it's neater and cleaner.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then you can address, I think they mentioned at least taking a look to see if it impacted their site plan approval, so it would be, I mean, it's not like they can deny an A&R. So,
All right, we'll just proceed down.
Yeah,
Thanks.
okay.
Just to briefly show you, it's kind of off plan on this sheet, but the idea is that we need the lot to go more here rather than it kind of diagonals now.
So you
On
go
the lot.
straight up, right?
So we just got to create a little more buffer.
Okay.
The planning board also flagged that because of the existing site plan approvals for the self-storage building on Route 9 and the proposed contractor's yard building, this is on the lot above the 40B, that the site plan would need to be modified. We understand that. We, of course, do it. That could be a condition of your decision. Follow through on that. Those site plans call for screening, vegetated screening. And we want you to know that this is, of course, not an intent with this 40B to avoid that at all. It will maintain that roof screen.
The screening where?
It's on,
the contractor's
Yeah.
yard,
Oh.
just off the sheet over here at the south edge of the lower parking area,
Okay,
is to screen it from the abutters on the building.
thank you.
and then 2 more things from the planning board. They had said, I guess I also mentioned 3. They said the importance of utilizing native plantings species.
Yeah.
We'll do that, like I already said. They suggest that the entry sign for this project would be on Route 9, and that should simply be a special permit filing with them to ensure that especially if the sign is larger than 75 square feet, it's been approved, no problem. And finally, they suggest compliance with the lighting bylaw, which we're happy to pursue. So that it's compliance. And then briefly, Conservation Commission feedback. They say define a limit of work, which our plans do show. They suggest a physical barrier, like a split rail fence, so you know where work stops and where neighbor properties begin. Problem. And then add details about retaining wall construction so that we're not doing any work off site and our civil engineers so that. And we'll again reintroduce a grate to the wildlife crossing.
And that's really for lighting.
Lighting moisture, exactly. And they suggest filing an NOI, which we're prepared to do as we had done with the 40B at 125 micro. So that's our high level review.
So I forgive me, I probably go through all that. And I thought one of the things that kept coming up was a concern about encroachment and work within the wetland area. Has anything changed there? Are there still concerns with that? Or no?
There are, in fairness, from the peer reviewers memos and
Okay.
the Conservation Commission. Yes. And maybe Mr. Tatro could note where work's proposed in 20-foot buffer,
Sure.
starting at around the unit 29.
There's work within the 20-foot no disturb zone proposed here. Unit would just barely get into it, a little bit of side yard and retaining wall would get into it. There's encroachment here, of retaining wall for the road. There's encroachment at the back of units 30 through 32. There's encroachment over here by unit 2. There's also some encroachment over here by unit 20. And I would also note that as a result of the change requested in regard to the wildlife tunnel, one of the suggested things to do there was to extend the retaining wall here beside the road, which we did. That actually enabled us to get some work over here out of the no disturb zone in the course of shortening the wildlife tunnel from 65 to about 53 or 54 feet.
Right.
And as Brian says, we can add a grate to this, and if we add it at the center line of the road, you wouldn't have a worry of petroleum products being washed in because it'll be at the ground at the top of it.
Yeah, got it.
I guess I would say there's the wetland, which has been measured by the specialists to be the wetland.
Mhm.
And then there's the buffer.
Right.
Which is not wetland.
Yeah.
And we want to avoid it as much as possible, like the commission wants. But in no point is does it propose work in the actual wetland.
But
It's just getting stuff restricted.
yeah, but they're still looking through the state with that buffer, right?
The 20-foot.
20
Yeah,
foot,
the 20,
yeah, not the 100 foot.
Yeah, that's local. That's
Okay.
that's in your jurisdiction.
Okay.
This discussion about the 20-foot no touch zone. As Jay started to say, it's under the local bylaw, okay, it's it's not under the state.
Right.
Towns have varying no touch, no build zones depending on their local bylaw. In Southborough, you have 20 feet, other towns have other numbers. What I took away from reading the Conservation Commission letter, as well as Lucas's, is they were pointing out that we're within the 20 feet.
Right.
But no one said by being in the 20 feet, something terrible is going to happen. Right. So Conservation Commission in particular said, gee whiz, that's our Maginot line, and we never like to go past it. Well, we understand that, but unless it's something that violates the intent and spirit of 40B, the encroachment per se seems to be okay. Meaning, are we doing something terrible? Nobody says. The only thing is they've created this bright line historically for Southborough. So if I came in a non-40B project, the board conservation would say, we never waived that. Okay, I got it.
Right.
But this is 40B. So
yeah.
Okay, that's all we're dealing with. The line, the requirement, and the idea of 40B was to look at these local requirements.
Yeah.
This again, I don't want to speak for DEP, but this is buffer. The DEP would not get that crazy about it. 20
Well,
feet.
I mean, I don't want to, I'm not saying one way or the other
Right.
about this particular 20 feet. I would hesitate to say that DEP wouldn't care about it, because even DEP has standards and concerns over buffer zone, including buffer zone it's still regulated.
Oh, no, I
under
completely agree.
DEP, and the Concom may, in an NOI proceeding, local bylaw or not, may still put you through your paces on that.
Absolutely.
Your job here is to demonstrate, and for Lucas to tell us, what does a waiver of that 20-foot limitation mean in terms of protection of wetland interests? So
I agree with that. That's what I'm trying to get to.
And then we put that into a balancing test.
Okay, what Jay said is what I was trying to say less articulately than Jay, but I mean, the issue is, what is the problem for balancing the wetland? Any way you want to say it. Okay, and that I haven't read that in the letter. All I've read is, less than 20 feet.
Yeah, I suppose my questions would be, you know, and maybe Lucas can talk about it. It's, you know, what have you done to try to limit that to the maximum extent possible? I understand, we all understand 40B doesn't allow conservation to say, sorry, we're not gonna do this, but you know, what steps have been taken to make sure you're doing that to the smallest amount possible?
Sure. If I may, Mr. Chairman, our response is that, in multiple instances where we are encroaching, we're proposing a significant retaining wall in order to minimize that encroachment. That's the case on the side of unit 20. It's the case on the side of unit 29. It's the case at the crossing point where the road is, I should say, not crossing, but points where the road is in close proximity. We're proposing retaining walls to try, rather than try and go down in a 2-to-1 slope or something else. And where
That will keep you more out of that.
correct.
buffer.
And where we're proposing to do that, we're leaving just minimal side yards in some of these units. Because we're trying to keep away as far as we can while still physically allowing passage beside these units. So I would say that the applicant is proposing a fairly significant expense and not giving himself maximum, you know, space in a few instances where, in order to try and maximize, I should say, minimize as much as possible.
Right.
That intrusion.
Right, okay. Did you,
That was it. Thank you.
good, well,
Joe here from.
would you mind just maybe having a response to?
Sure. Comment on the 20.
I try really hard to go through it, but it's 26 pages. The same thing keeps coming back and going.
A lot of
hoping
repeat.
Joe paints a really clear picture for me tonight, so.
I hope so. Did you want me to go through step by step?
So
I think a lot of it.
I don't know if you could follow up. I think
Yeah.
Mr. Travel's done a good job of saying some of the things you highlighted we can do.
And I
So-
think a lot of the comments are with respect to plan changes.
Right.
The things being included on the plan that are not currently on there that we're supposed to be.
Right, and I agree. If, I mean, not that that's not important, but if it's pointed out, these things aren't on the plan change and you agree to put them in, then there's nothing to discuss.
Sure.
So it's really more this sort of topic here, you know, the tunnel, the encroachment into the no touch zone. Those are the things, just speaking for me, the rest of the board can certainly chime in. I want to understand that from your perspective.
Sure.
What I just talked about.
So with respect to the tunnel, our comments have been that Natural Heritage recommends a 4-foot high tunnel as an optimal for wildlife passage, if the site will allow for its construction. The applicants provided information that due to utilities, that 4 feet not available, and has provided references to guidance from various DOTs and other sources that the size proposed is adequate for salamanders and amphibians, which I concur with. But again, as a minimum, we're looking more at the proposed is closer to the minimum size requirement than a more optimal that is with the 4 foot that we were referring to or recommending. We don't have the expertise to analyze the engineering, whether or not, you know, that could be raised or not. We have to pass that off to the
Okay. So
engineering.
ideally, it would be 4 feet.
Ideally, it would be 4 feet.
Their engineering saying
Can't do
really
it.
not possible, and so the 4 feet wide by 2 feet high.
Right. That
Is pretty
that
fair.
is adequate
Okay.
based on numerous other recommendations.
Right, okay.
With respect to the 20-foot no disturbance zone, the concerns there are, one major one is encroachment. And I think that's probably why, the Conservation Commission was recommending split rail fence. About the edge, especially in situation where we have some small yards, in the areas close, where we're within the 25 or within 20 foot. It wouldn't be unusual for yards to just creep bigger and bigger over time. End up at the edge of the wetland or even into the wetland, lawns expand.
So that's one of the, I'm sorry, I don't.
So that's one issue.
Major thing is just, you don't want to see that lawn all of a sudden down there.
Correct. Another one is, the Conservation Commission bylaws presume that if you're within 20 feet, you're likely to alter the actual wetland itself. And that would be through potentially encroachment, runoff, erosion, herbicides, pesticides, things like that, potentially getting into the wetland. So that's why the 20 foot is established under the bylaw.
For runoff, can that, are the mitigation measures?
Well, it's typically your condition not to be using certain herbicides and pesticides anyways, but it may still happen. Fertilizers generally not allowed, but it happens. Even if it's conditioned. So the 20 foot kind of provides that extra protection for in case these things do occur, and trying to keep the erosion and runoff from getting into the wetland and impacting the wetland itself. With respect to the changes that were discussed in the plans, the proposed wetland replication area has been removed, which we are in agreement that was a good idea. The mitigation planting that is now proposed, we are in agreement with that. I think it's appropriate, and the plantings are appropriate. We continue to recommend the invasive species management plan for the entire site, which I think Brian touched on, that they would be happy to do that.
That's not a concern, right?
Yep, correct. And there is one in place that was approved under a notice of intent previously on the property that could be used as a template for the remaining site. That would be, we're also recommending that the mitigation measures that were proposed in the wildlife habitat evaluation that was submitted at the time of the Vernal Pool investigation. There were a number of mitigation measures that were listed in that as potential mitigation. Planting of trees and shrubs, woody debris, the invasive species management. Those are all things that we recommend will likely be conditioned by the Conservation Commission within the buffer zone. Would also recommend it be conditioned by the ZBA, those areas outside of the buffer zone for wildlife habitat improvement. Since the commission will not be able to extend their jurisdiction beyond the buffer zone. If I have any other notes here, or if you have any specific questions, please speak up. With respect to the, I think, as was stated earlier, with respect to the alternatives analysis and whether the applicant has looked at other alternatives to potentially reduce work within the 20 foot or within the buffer zone. There were comments, responses that they've looked at it and this is as low as all they can do. We recommend that the board, be comfortable that they have met that alternatives analysis. And as was discussed today, it's a economic issue with number of units. I don't know if the commission or if the board needs additional information on whether or not the 32 is in fact as low as they could go. Right. But if in fact that is the case, then I think the mitigation that is proposed, and stated as potential mitigation is quite substantial.
I'm sorry, what's quite
The
substantial?
mitigation that was proposed or is listed, reported as potential mitigation.
Yeah.
Which I just referred to.
Okay,
Had a comment on Cape Cod berming or curbing. I know there was a waiver request for use of slope granite. And I think would recommend either slope granite or Cape Cod, at least within the buffer zone, in case there are any critters that don't find the tunnel.
okay.
It eases their
Yeah, I'm just
process.
curious, what does that do? That's what it's for?
It's right. Well, the vertical curbing is a barrier.
Okay.
And they end up getting run over.
Okay.
So
right,
the
now.
slope curbing and the Cape Cod berm allows them easier passage if they do end up on the road
Does the
getting
Cape
across.
Cod berm the more like the asphalt?
Asphalt, yeah. So,
yeah.
And we understand that and agree to it,
Okay.
the slope of Cape Cod.
Okay.
as was brought up, we do recommend the grate be replaced on the plan for allowing light moisture into the tunnel. I think the other things mentioned as far as the wildlife fencing, we concur with the use of the fencing to help direct the amphibians to the tunnel. The improvements that were made as far as shortening the tunnel and adding the wind walls are good improvements.
Okay.
Concur with those. Was there a revised landscape plan submitted? I have heard reference to landscape plan. I don't know if there was a revised one. We had noted that the previous landscape plan was revision date of January 31st, 2025. So if any changes need to occur in the landscape plan with regard to the revised or final plan,
Okay.
I recommend those be done. I think the last comment I would have is, I noticed on the most current plans, they were missing revision date.
Okay.
So the last revision that we reviewed, July 25th revision date was not shown on, listed on this plan. Just want to be sure that it's not also missing the revisions that were
Right.
included on that plan.
Right.
So just confirm that.
Okay.
And we also provided a list of some of the comments that I think would be easy for the conservation or for the board to condition. Yeah,
Right.
and then the additional conditions as far as any revisions to the plan that you find suitable.
Okay. All right. So does anybody else on the board have questions for Bill from Lucas or regarding everything that's just covered? Everything that Mr. Charlo presented. I want to do all the talking. I really shouldn't.
I have a question. And I'm sure it looks like do we have a butters here tonight?
Yes, we do.
So broad stroke. So for instance, I see the waiver for 19 and 18. And I'm hoping to get some feedback from the butters, see how they feel about what is now planned for those units. There's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're very, very close, and it says on the plan. I'd also like a small response to, I see there is no decks on each unit, and I guess the response is yes, we're not going to add decks to the existing units. Maybe there's 4 or 5 decks that don't show attached to the units. And then this is it's on the broader site plan, where I know that in the 250 building, the Honeybee building, that the bridge, the pedestrian bridge is decommissioned at this point. Should we be marking that on the plan? I think I've said that correctly, or that's the plan, or it's not in commission, so maybe it's not in the right form, but that is at some point, decommissioned fully. So those are my questions.
If I may,
Yes, I think the attorney, maybe if you want to just kind of talk about those three broad, the porch, the bridge. And where you pursue, so we're, you know, kind of set a stage for where the abutters and the relationship with the abutters on this type of topics.
and I think I'll probably defer the abutters on the question about units 18 and 19.
Okay,
But on the bridge, I'll say we're well aware of the bridge's condition.
oh, yeah,
And it is not accessible to pedestrians or used by pedestrians.
okay,
It is off-site though. It's not part of the sporting goods
that's what I
site.
thought you might say, but it's on the plan.
It's not subject part of this 40B permit.
Okay,
And we plan though to bring to the Conservation Commission plan for it to be removed.
right, so that's my understanding, and so we'll just separate that out, and when it is removed. It'll be updated somehow.
That's right. They're very aware.
But I know that it's linked in with the sewer and the approval of the sewer plan.
Correct.
And of course, it's in disrepair, but it's got the sewer piping.
That relates to the sewer, to be clear for everybody.
Yeah,
If you are on Route 9 eastbound and look to the right, you're able to see the pedestrian bridge, which connects the Beehive self-storage building down to the lower parking lot. And Ms. Cahill is correct that there is a septic pipe that runs beneath the bridge that formerly carried flow from what had been office building, now it's self-storage, down to the septic field, which is beneath the larger parking lot. There is not flow that goes through that right now. It's been capped in a way, so there's not flow, so there's not a risk of any flow getting out.
not at that point, unless, you know, the bridges, we were worried. So that's really my question, is how it is treated on the site plan,
Mhm.
and then maybe address. I understand that.
On decks, I was going to say, I'd have Mr. Tatro speak to, it's very intentional about which units do have one shown and which
I'm
don't.
sure it is, just,
Sure. There are 6 of them total, numbers 30, 31, 32. Also 4, 5, and 6, where the backyards are minimal and there just really wasn't reasonable space to put a deck on, and we intentionally omitted it from the plans, and we certainly have no trouble with
yeah,
that.
there's just a comment, I want to say it was by planning, I think planning commented to commit to not adding decks afterwards. Did I read that somewhere?
I was asked about that too, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere's in all this content, there was a request to commit to never adding them. I don't know if that's a ZBA condition. Does anybody remember reading that, or is that?
No, I read
Yeah,
those,
that's
yeah.
okay.
They want to make sure what they saw on the plan is what they get.
Just, we don't have a problem with that.
Okay, great.
You put a condition in that
Okay.
these units will have
Yeah,
decks.
one of our other boards.
I mean, you are approving what we showed on the plan. No,
Right, I agree with you, but there was a comment.
No, it's a reasonable comment.
100%, yeah. I just said we have a process to satisfy it. Okay.
No, I'm good.
I don't have any questions. I'm familiar with, obviously, been involved, not in this town, but another town with the project that thermal pool culvert. And I still, for the life of me, don't understand exactly how the crews knew to use the culvert. They do. But this was kind of like this. It was a couple of years in planning and a couple of years of watching the migration of them. All right, we're gonna put the culvert here, and you know, and some of the stragglers, well, there's Cape Cod berming that was used also, so it all makes not a wetlands extra, but it all makes sense to me because I've seen it done, and you know, and it wasn't 4 feet. Similar situation, there was infrastructure that had to be brought in, so it was not 4 feet.
Doug, you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, no additional comments.
I don't know if any of the others with.
Yeah.
All right, so, yeah, sorry.
Do you want me to bring them over?
Yes, sorry.
Let me.
I had it in mind before.
Patrick is moving over. There he is. Hi,
Hello.
Patrick.
How's it going?
Well, that's so good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me join virtually. And so let me just go through some of my comments. The applicant did a great job of summarizing them. As he mentioned, there is a couple outstanding items which the rest of them sound like they can be fairly easily addressed, and with some plan updates and some revised material. The ones that he had outlined as being some outstanding were specifically the 1% slope, which, as noted, I had a conversation with the engineer from Expedited Engineering, and it sounds like that can be achieved on the revised set of drawings. The secondary one that I had was the HydroCAD modeling still has some routing errors that should be kind of flushed out with some updates to some tailwater analysis to verify that when the pipes are outletting downstream that they can handle that flow when they hit a structure that is full of water, and it can handle that additional water as it enters that system, whether it's infiltrating or outletting. So there's some tweaking you can do with the model that can adjust for those factors. And I just wanted to see that quantified in the revised calculations. And then I gave some descriptors of the warnings and stuff within the revised letter. The next one was discussing the construction against the property line and the retaining walls, which was mentioned. The specific block that was called out was it has a specific width needed, and as you start at the base, there's a batter that goes up depending on the height that you have, and there's a minimum space requirement needed. Now it seems that there was a minimum distance held from the septic, which is standard in Title V, and I think that was this spatial constraint that was used for holding the wall where it was and trying to maintain that close proximity to the property line. So that's one of the things that I think needs to get revisited and looked at, whether from revising the wall type or looking at possibly using a different wall and revising some of those spatial constraints in that specific corner. The other ones should probably be fine. It's just I made a reference to use the specific widths for the height of the wall that's being called out, so you can accurately depict how large that wall is going to be when it comes to the site plan. And then, yeah, a lot of the other ones were verifying that things have been completed, or that there's some site plan comments that just need to be addressed. Some small plan edits, items like that. And then, as was noted as well, the pre and post, I didn't get an updated rates and volumes chart, which would since there have been some small updates, some updates to the design as a whole with some pipe routing and stuff like that satisfied another comment. I wanted to see an updated chart as well as a little bit of explanation on the previously there was a volume increase that was being shown to one of the analysis points. So a little bit of description on that as well as if it still exists. So basically just understanding what was happening with the that analysis point. But it wasn't something that was like a crazy overage. Just understanding that analysis point. And then, as was noted, I went through and added some conditions of approval. Some of them are more standard, some of them are a little bit more specific to this site plan. Bed bottom inspection items, which are typical for sites that have infiltration and items like that, and minimum roadway slope, which was noted earlier, but it sounds like that can be achieved.
So can I just follow up on the retaining walls where you're saying that the wall type would need to be revised to address the space concerns? What's your take on that? Are you?
We'll do so. I think it was really my fault. Interestingly, looking at the Canigliaro block, which was the type of retaining wall we were citing, has a brochure which on page one page talks about the necessary width for the wall. And then I saw that and stopped, and about several pages later clarifies what Patrick had suggested was really the necessary dimension. So what we're just going to have to use a different wall. The area in question is right here, where we're keeping a wall a certain distance off the septic system leaching area, and we're getting close to a property line. So we're going to have to do something different than the Canigliaro block at that look.
And that's achievable just by going with a different type of.
It is in multiple ways.
Multiple ways.
Okay. All right.
But it's not a concern on your part.
No, we have to revise the plan.
Yeah.
As Patrick suggests, but there are a couple different ways to address that.
Okay, and his comment on the HydroCAD models with the routing errors. Is that just an analysis thing?
Actually, I in perfect candor, I turn those off because mostly on creating a report, because typically people will read it and think, oh my God, this says you didn't look at that the D sub T before, because you have such a small time of concentration, might not accurately reflect the flow, and someone can look at that and infer much worse things are actually happening. What he's suggesting especially is that the flow into the main infiltration structure, when you get to say the 100-year storm, that the pipe in there, which actually is way down in a drain manhole here in the center line of the road, that pipe would have some water backup. In the 100-year storm, the water going to that structure would have pooled to an extent that it reaches the bottom of that pipe, and the error messages will tell you, okay, how much did that happen, and what, if anything, you need to do to mitigate that. Okay, so he's correct. That should be added where it has occurred.
Okay. So Patrick, with the conditions that you're recommending here, you don't have any other concerns that have not yet already been addressed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think in general, if there's just a follow-up that shows that these items have been addressed, then I can provide a letter that says these things have been satisfied, and that can clear up these remaining issues.
Okay. Any questions from board? Good. I'll actually butters with applications.
John St. Andre, attorney representing the abutters, or most of them, and I live at 14 Skylar Drive, which is adjacent to the project. And next time I'll use my words instead. couple of concerns that that we have. We met with Attorney Chowell and Mr. Ferris early on when we were basically trying to understand each other, what we were looking for and what was going on. And one of the big concerns that we had was that this area, wooded and beautiful, would be gone. And we were worried that we wanted to make sure that there was sufficient screening so that the neighbors would not be looking at townhouses or people running through the yards and vice versa, because this was the property where the project is going to be is higher than many of the houses around, and they're going to be able to look down. And so we wanted some privacy. And so Mr. Ferris agreed at that time that the developer shall, at developer's cost, add a 6-foot privacy fencing wherever reasonably possible on the lot lines abutting the third parties who want a fence buffer between them and the project. In other words, he was offering to put in a 6-foot high privacy fence where the abutters wanted it. That was a good offer, but it's not included in any of the filings that I can see so far. The second thing is that in addition, we knew that there'd be trees going up, evergreens, but still we were concerned that that was not going to be enough. And especially when they first went in, maybe they're going to be 8 feet high or whatever, but that still isn't going to do it. So Mr. Ferris agreed that wherever the abutters wanted additional privacy shrubbery put in to act as a screen, he would put it in and at his cost. And I might add, he also agreed that the developer would maintain that 6-foot privacy fence throughout in good repair for the life of the project. So he was taking on the obligation of maintaining that fence for as long as the project existed, which we thought was necessary to ensure the privacy of the abutters. So those are the two things that people were concerned about in terms of the privacy and screening. With respect to the lots, units 2, 29, 30, 31, and 32, I saw in the Conservation Commission letter that these lots encroach in that 20-foot no disturb zone. They're not abutting it or close to it, they're in it. And the Conservation Commission was pretty strongly saying, we don't approve of this. We don't want this. This is not right. And so some of the neighbors had a concern that, well, maybe the way to compromise here would be to remove 4 lots, 29, 30, 31, and 32, rearrange some of the lots, reduce it from 32 to 28, and that might be a reasonable solution here. Now, we don't know economically how that's going to affect the project, whether or not it's economically feasible to reduce the amount of lots or whether it's just less profitable, but we don't know. However, the original proposal for this project, apart from the 4-story building, was a 28-unit lot project. So the original proposal was 28, and then it changed and increased to 32. And a lot of the abutters think that, well, it was probably profitable with 28. Why is it not going to be profitable with 28 now? So we're concerned that it's just, there's too much jammed in here. But we don't know. We don't know what the economics are. We're not privy to the numbers. We just don't know. But I think Joe suggested that the board should be very comfortable that the developer has looked into what he needs to look into to see whether this is actually economically unfeasible to go to 28. I don't know about that. The other thing is that this is a very wet area. And I don't think anybody's disputing that. The wetlands go into the reservoir across the street. So the water flow it isn't just contained in the property, it goes under Route 9 and it goes into the reservoir. So things that are entering the wetlands, things that may be coming out of that vernal pool, well, it ends up in the reservoir. So there's a concern here on the part of the Conservation Commission, which I think is pretty important. If contaminants enter in there, if the water is mucked up and gunked up, it goes into the water supply. It's a concern. So one of the things that I heard Joe say was that assuming that these lots, units needs to stay where they are, that the mitigation offered is substantial. But he didn't say it gets rid of the problem. He says it's substantial, but I don't think he wanted to put himself on the line and say, yes, there's not a problem there, and there never will be a problem there. So we're concerned about the water, the stormwater management. We're concerned about the drainage. We're not experts in this area. We have to rely on the board and the peer reviewers. But I read through the documents. I just don't see the experts who are in charge of looking at this saying, we sign off on this. Everything we need to know, we know. All the information that we wanted, we got. But I don't see anyone saying this is fine in terms of stormwater management and drainage. I don't see that. And so I don't know how the board can make a decision on that. Maybe it's there. I just don't see that they're signing off on it saying that everything is fine. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I just don't know. I can't speak to the abutter to units 19 and what was it, 20? 19 and 18, I can't speak to that. But I would add that if the privacy fence gets put in as promised, and if the shrubs are put in and the evergreens are put in, that'll help add to the privacy concerns that we have. And I think that's all I have. Thank you. Thank you.
If I may respond very briefly on the idea, especially of screening, fencing, and plantings, the applicant is fully on board with that. I would just note, and we've talked with the abutters historically about this, some of what was discussed is outside the 40B site and on their own property, which we're still happy to abide by, just wouldn't be a part of your decision because they're off-site.
So, I'm sorry, can you repeat what that was?
I was saying to the board through the chair that the applicant stands by the on-site screening that has been discussed with, that's been discussed with the about it before. It's not to say that off-site screening wouldn't be provided as discussed a long time ago. It's just that wouldn't be a part of this decision because that's not part of this application. But
where are the areas where it would have to be off-site?
Maybe at the rear of some of the existing homes is what we had discussed with them.
So the fencing and that screening that was mentioned was on their property.
Yes, especially plantings on their property.
Okay.
They had inquired about that before. We're happy to still provide that.
So, in terms of addressing it, then, I've said the plans would have to show if Mr. St. Andre is saying they're not showing it, did the plan show the screening that had been agreed to or no?
I don't think we got as specific as what fence and trees would go where, which is why it wouldn't be shown, but that could definitely be a condition permit that we would.
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Is it either in the plan or it's a condition?
If I may, the landscaping plan shows,
That's what I thought. It was most of my mind.
especially next to the behind the units that are closest to the abutters, in fact, show 2 layers of plantings of trees and shrubs.
Okay.
But
You see that on the landscaping plan as well.
Yeah.
I literally thought I was losing my mind.
to
Sorry.
to Mr. St. Andre's point, the plan does not show the 6-foot privacy fence. So we shouldn't see that should show.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so it doesn't show, you don't have anything showing.
As a privacy fence, no. But if you
Okay.
look at the landscaping plan, you can see all the different cedar,
Yeah.
et cetera.
No,
Mike's right.
Proposed
I see
behind
that in
those
there.
units.
But it wouldn't be a concern to make that a issue.
No,
No.
I mean, and
6-foot privacy fence.
it just, the privacy fence can be shown and will be shown. And it can be a condition of the 40B permit, that the privacy fence can be up. I don't the fact that
Well, I don't know if they all want it. I think what we
No,
would
no, no,
probably
I-
probably say is
whoever
that
wants it.
the applicant shall honor all agreements with
Yeah, we can,
reached with abutting property owners.
but between now and the final plans, we'll find out who wants the privacy fence and we'll add it to the plan.
Well, right, because, I mean,
Yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna wanna
Exactly.
police that, except to the extent that you reach an agreement with them. We're not gonna police
No.
Okay.
what that is, but if you're committing to an agreement.
That's
and-
great.
And that
All right,
affects
I'm okay.
are the sufficiency of the setbacks and all that issue. And I think we're just gonna expect that you adhere to it, whatever it
Okay.
is. As long as it's an actual agreement, then,
Well, I don't believe there's an actual agreement, you know, with
well,
signatures,
I
but,
mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be in writing. If
Nope.
if Mr. Ferris.
no, but what I'm suggesting, Jay, is that the abutters through their council indicate who wants privacy fencing and let the board know, and we'll add that to the plans. And then that'll be the condition. I mean, it's gonna be,
We'll give it some thought. I
Okay.
mean, I'm not sure I want to get the town necessarily involved in that granular level,
okay.
but we'll
We're up for it.
work on something. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you just said you wanted to.
I think we all know what's kind of
Yeah, I got it.
expected here. It's just a matter of wordsmithing it the right way.
If I could just add one thing, I think I neglected to say, the developer also agreed that they would maintain these additional shrubs. And I don't think that's a problem, but
No.
if they die, what happens? They'll replace it. That was my understanding.
Yes,
It's not a problem.
we agree to maintain the fence and the plan.
Yeah, it's a rental, so there's gonna be a perpetual requirement that they maintain landscaping and. Right.
John Palmer, a direct abutter at 131 Parkerville Road. I've been a vocal abutter on all of this every step of the way. John St. Andre did a really nice job of summarizing the concerns of the abutters and others that have been vocal on this one. I have a bit longer and more specific list of concerns, comments, and issues. I'd like to walk through those.
would you mind coming up here then?
Well,
Or do,
I think we're okay. I have a
we can hear you.
couple of things.
Is there any issue with Sam and the camera?
I think you're just off camera.
Do I need to be on camera?
I would think so. I would imagine so, yeah. Can you just bring that
Yeah.
that material up there? Thank you.
So hard to set up with the cameras.
Thank you.
So I've been consistent all along on my comments, concerns, and issues. And those concerns and issues are well founded. In fact, I paid a local land engineer to take a look at the original plans for the 4-story apartment building, as well as the 2 newer plans, the original 28 unit townhome plan and the 32 unit townhome plan. And that land engineer called out, a litany of very problematic issues with the current site plan, and put me on to the issues that I've been raising consistently every step of the way. While I prefer townhomes over a 4-story building all day long, I would say that the current plan at 32 units is still way too problematic, way too large for the land in question. I've submitted 3 letters reiterating the concerns and the issues that I've raised every step of the way on this. And I do not feel like either the board or the developer has addressed these issues directly at any step of the way. The issues comprise setbacks, septic system design, and stormwater management control.
specifically in relationship to the wetlands and a tributary that was delineated in the 2022 study, a tributary to the Sudbury Reservoir watershed. So it was called out specifically in the 2022 study, and it's never been addressed since. I think that puts the septic system design and the stormwater management design in a very problematic area. I can't understand how the Board of Health has approved the septic system design because it's my understanding that it would require a Title V variance from the Mass DEP. So I really just can't understand how the Board of Health approved the septic system design. I'm concerned about the stormwater management design because I'm downhill of the proposed development, and I've already incurred any number of fallen trees from stormwater coming from Sarson Stone all the way through the property in question, all the way down to Parkerville, and I've had countless trees in the front of my property fall as a result of the stormwater management or the lack of proper stormwater management design. Same thing across the street from my property, countless trees that are falling because of the wetlands from the stormwater management runoff. I don't know how this development is going to improve that situation. I can only imagine it's going to make matters worse. So in my latest letter, I respectfully, asked if the ZBA or the developer was going to Mass DEP with regard to the septic system design and seeking that variance. I specifically asked, has the ZBA or the applicant filed a EPA, DPDES construction contractor's permit with the EPA, because it's my understanding that this is over 5 acres, especially if you consider the A&R that would clearly put it over 5 acres. So I understand that that's required, and I don't know if that's been pursued at this point in time. And then lastly, there's a laundry list of waivers that have been requested. Some things that, quite frankly, can't be wavered around, like Title V. But then other things, it's a long laundry list of waivers, and I don't know why the developer or the ZBA wouldn't take a close look at their pro forma to validate that those waivers are needed to make this project economically feasible. So I request that the ZBA take a look at the pro forma and prove out that these waivers are needed.
If I may briefly, Mr. Chairman, a applicant files an ENOI and a SWIP with the US EPA for altering over 1 acre of land. You do that after you have all your other permits. That's why we have not filed that yet. In regard to the septic system issue, this was, I would say, exhaustively reviewed by the Board of Health, who sought multiple parties' input on it, because the issue is, and the Board of Health agent and Board of Health members acknowledge this, that in a town like Southborough, with the reservoir in town, you're going to have multiple cases of the same or similar interpretation coming up to you. The regulations are abundantly clear. The standard is not, are you in an area that drains to the reservoir, therefore any stream path whatsoever is a tributary? That's not the standard. The standard in the regulations is there a stream that you are working within a certain proximity of wetlands bordering it? Is there a stream that is shown on certain maps that the state puts out? The simple fact is there is not a stream that satisfies that on this site. And that's why the Board of Health did not ask for, say that any special waiver or variance or filing with DEP was necessary.
Except if I may say, the GIS maps do not get updated based on new wetland studies. There was a new wetland study that was conducted in 2022, commissioned by the applicant and by the town. And that study clearly delineates a tributary to the Sudbury Reservoir watershed.
You understand though that's, I think we kind of feel like that's the jurisdiction of Board of Health. Board of Health is reviewing all this. I guess I'm expecting they're more the subject matter experts here that are going to tell us whether that works or not. And I think it's a hard position for the ZBA to be in to determine something tributary or not, or if the septic system plan is going to work.
Well, except the ZBA has oversight on all of this.
We do, but we're
Not on the Board of Health.
not on the Board of Health. The Board of Health has to say over whether that septic plan is approved or not. We really have no ability to say that's invalid.
Jay, wasn't there
Yeah.
a talk about this a couple
I
of
mean, we
years
just put an
ago?
order of condition to say subject to proper Board of Health
Correct.
approval, but
Right.
we can't waive or change what the Board of Health.
And Mr. Chairman, I would just note that previous review letters, both by Lucas Environmental and by Howard Stein Hudson, cited that issue
Right.
as a crucial issue to be correctly resolved. And we showed that to the Board of Health. We said, look, we've got to resolve this because it makes a huge difference one way or the other.
Yeah.
And in the end, after exhaustive review and consulting multiple parties at DEP and DCR, the Board of Health concluded that we were correct in our interpretation that the necessary setback from wetlands on site in the area of the septic system was 50 feet. And they issued an approval for our septic system. And again, also with input from DPW in multiple ways in regard to especially looking at utility crossings.
I'm trying to, understand,
No,
but I'm not sure what sort of leeway or latitude you think we need this.
I don't know how that decision got made. I paid a land engineer to take a look at it and it was clear as day to him that this
Okay.
was a 100, even a 200-foot buffer. From that tributary in these wetlands, and would require a septic system Title V variance.
Right. Okay, but, I can appreciate that, but you have to also see that we have a Board of Health, we have Lucas, and we have HSH here, that they are the subject matter experts in these sorts of things. We could ask them about the stormwater. Is the stormwater plan sufficient? And you might say it's not, but by what measure? And again, we tax them with doing that. We ask the applicant to pay for them. And they provide their opinion. Now, if they step up here and say, you're absolutely right, this is not sufficient, that's something else. But I'm not sure what sort of relief you're hoping that the ZBA can give here.
I'm ultimately concerned about the impact to my property, the negative impact to my property,
yeah,
given the
yeah.
septic system design and the stormwater management design.
Okay. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I understand, but I'm just trying to take what has been given to us in terms of managing stormwater. And we right here, I don't think we want to debate with you the stormwater plan, whether it works or not.
I'm looking at the bigger picture here and I'm seeing a development. I was actually the one that suggested originally, hey, how about a Meeting House Lane townhome type development?
Okay.
And I drove by Meeting House Lane on the way here tonight, and it's the same acreage. It's I think it's 22 units versus 32, and it's got better access and no wetlands.
Mhm.
Whereas this is 32 on the same acreage with all kinds of wetlands and all kinds of problems that historically have made this land, it's landlocked. It's historically, unbuildable. And now we're going to approve it for a development under 40B, and waver around a bunch of stuff. You know, I'm concerned that we're wavering around too much here. I'm concerned that this is too large of a development, too problematic of a development.
And that's noted, but I mean, again, we have suggestions for waivers. We can review the waivers. But I mean, that's about as much say that we cannot say that something here is inadequate based on what the subject matter experts have told us.
Additionally, I know it's not part of this site plan, but it is related to this site plan. The discussion earlier about the septic pipe heading to the parking lot. You know, that is the primary septic pipe, as I understand it, for that building, to the septic system. It's been capped, so where is the, you know, septic going from the building at this point?
Have been dealt with by the Board of Health. We had a separate
But
hearing about the bridge.
yes, and I was part of that, and when the applicant said, well, they're gonna look to reposition that septic system behind the building as opposed to on the parking lot, you know, that would be within the buffer zone of the wetlands, and I would think, you know, highly problematic because it's within the wetlands.
I mean, could only ask.
Again, that would be just the Board of Health, and that's a
Yeah,
separate
we
parcel,
just-
not the parcel.
I think what you're at, we can only note the concerns. I don't feel we're in a position to be able to say, yeah, that we have to stop it based.
What about my request to take a look at
What
the
is-
pro
what is-
forma?
What is the request?
Take a look at the pro forma to make sure that the waivers are required in order to make this economically feasible.
Okay. I mean, the economically feasible part of it, I think is interesting. So I hear you on that.
Then
Okay.
I saw at one point early on when you had spoken that we talked about pro forma. And there wasn't a sense that project had ended, give us a pro forma with financial feasibility on those waivers. Am I not remembering that correctly? Where are we back at now? Yeah, call it,
I think that's part of the initial submission or project eligibility.
yeah. To stay on
That's
right.
right. Yeah.
So what are we asking for again? The second time?
Well, yeah, well, that's, is that the question? Like,
Yeah, it's a
what-
question.
What is it?
Define what we
that
mean by
sort of-
pro-
Well, I think that the question is,
No.
and let's just put it in. It's not just give us a pro forma. If the
Thank
board
you.
has a genuine interest in, like, there was a comment before by Attorney St. Andre that maybe drop 4 units, 29 through 32 and get to 28, right? If the board had an interest in doing it. You know, the board also has an interest in creating housing too.
That's exactly it.
Right, if
That's
the
the
board
check.
had an interest in dropping those units, for whatever reason, they could ask the applicant, are you willing to drop those units? Sometimes an applicant says, if it gets me to yes, I'll do it. If the applicant says, no, we can't, then, as we've talked about before with some of our other projects, then you could say, okay, tell us why you can't by reference to your pro forma.
Yeah, when you began the original discussion, I think I heard earlier tonight that we ended up at 32 and there were financial reasons. Can you kind of reiterate those comments for me that, because that's what's in relation to, just, it didn't work. Anything
right.
more to add to that?
No, that's right. It doesn't
So I
make
mean,
economic sense for the applicant to advance that at 28. It takes 32, especially based on most recent construction pricing, the materials costs.
okay, so we'll go back to the question to the board. We've been presented with under 32 doesn't work, so do we have interest in that pro forma?
Well, speaking for, I know, it's been alluded to, the importance, and again, we're
Right.
trying to balance interests here for everybody, is to get under safe harbor. And so for the town, we need those numbers in order for us to get to a safe harbor. And so it's just trying to weigh trust me, I get having impacts that arrive next door. It's easy for me to say like, oh, it doesn't affect me. Trust me, I get personal effect. And when we can do site considerations that ameliorate those effects, I'm really interested in that. But the idea of trying to go back now, change the site, which will not only, from what we're being told from the applicant, is going to be an economic unfeasibility, but also challenge the town's need for housing and to meet the 40B requirements. Those are competing interests that we have to balance.
I also am not sure removing those 4 units is
That's
gonna change the impact, right? It's not like we're saying go down to 2 units or something.
I'm
like
not gonna
that.
touch the water flow, because I agree with David. That's why we have subject matter.
Oh, yeah, I don't,
experts.
I definitely.
I
am not
appreciate
an
the
expert,
subject plan that's not on GIS record, but that's not the finding, so.
Right.
The opposing, because our consultants and, project owners consultants, so we have to rely on those engineers.
And it's not to diminish what you're saying. It's just that we're stuck as a board, like, okay, you're telling us one thing, but the people that we've engaged in order to give us the decisions, they're saying this is that septic design's okay.
So I appreciate that the town has to get to safe harbor on affordable housing. The applicant itself has 2 other, 40B developments in the works that would get the town to safe harbor alone. And then there's multiple other, 40B proposals that would, clearly get us over that safe harbor. So the question to the board is, why this site, which, is highly problematic and not, a feasible, plot of land for this size of a development.
I think it is feasible, and that's what both experts have agreed to. All the peer reviewers have agreed to. I think that's what we're thinking. Are the people we have identified to say, is this feasible, have said it is feasible, put it there. And to me, yeah, it'd be nice to be in safe harbor, but that would not be the only reason I would make a decision to, like that's.
A good example, Jamie, when there's been other 40Bs, what I'd like them to be 4 stories or 3 stories, and because of all these properties, the properties that have been presented have their unique challenges, with the butters. It would have been nicer to have it lower, even though the sight line is low and have the tests and so forth. I do need to rely on the experts, so. And the time, so I also appreciate, because unfortunately, I believe this application, are we in year 2 yet?
It's almost 2 years since the hearing
2
kicked off.
years, so, and from a practicality standpoint, there's just such a press, and I am very seriously following this entirely. There's a very big press on housing for different reasons, and I'm not aware of anything that would be going any faster pace, and we're not in compliance, and I don't know how to get another one in front of us that can outpace it. That's not the only reason.
And on the unit count, as they update the SHI, units that were previously included can burn off after a certain number of years. Yeah. And so the more units approved now may keep the town in safe harbor for longer.
And I mean, from my perspective, where, the 120 one, which is approved, we're not, I'm not aware of any other proposal at this time. That's not, I haven't heard anything about it. There was, of course, they tried to bring back Park Central, but that was denied. So there was actually another site you were looking at, which is perfect. So, I mean, I think this is where we are. But again, to sort of support Doris' point, is why we bring in Lucas and why we bring in HSH. If they thought it was not feasible, they would have done it. So.
Okay. I stand behind the issues and the requests I've made of the board, specifically on the pro forma in particular.
Okay.
And on the septic system design variance.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just have one last question, just to clarify.
Sure.
If If the project is reduced to 28 units instead of 32, will the town still make safe harbor?
I believe so.
I think that would be the case. Yeah.
So the extra 4 units doesn't matter in terms of whether the town will make safe harbor.
The term safe harbor, right,
For this time.
for this time, yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that's, I think they've kind of answered pretty correctly. If you go from 13 down to 28, it's not suggested. Not that it's more profitable, but you actually.
My experience, David, is you could just, is that you press the, I'm pro making it livable, I'm pro, you do need to address our environmental very, very seriously, but you push the developer, they don't have to build the project at all. It's just, and I have seen that in hearings and through experience. So I'm gonna take, the word that it's unaffordable. As opposed to proceeding, and finding it's with a lot of effort, it's still unaffordable at the end of the day, and more burden on all those involved, all the parties involved, just to prove the point.
Doug, did you have anything you wanted to chime in with, or?
No, I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Were there any other butters or that? We don't have anybody else that's taking it.
Is there anyone else online?
I have 5 people online, no hands raised.
I think it's on the HSH. From any comments on stormwater concerns from HSH? Patrick, sorry.
Yep, no worries. Only the items that I have raised in my letter, which it sounds like are in the process of being addressed.
Okay. So it is your hope to be able to close.
We asked the hearing closed tonight, and go on to a decision with all the appropriate conditions discussed.
I'm trying to remember, how did?
We make a motion to close the
You make a motion.
public hearing.
Whoa, don't do that just yet. With the conditions. We include all of those. Yeah, they just said, yeah, but, right.
Yeah, I know some of the past, we've done this and stuff, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
I mean, I think I can sense where we're heading towards approval with a bunch of conditions.
Right.
And we talked about a bunch of, and then we have the reports and everything else. So I think the plan would be schedule a deliberation session to hopefully get where everyone can make it. Well,
Yeah, that's.
I'll get a draft together and then we'll start back.
Exactly.
Put in as many.
Because there's the whole list. I mean, that's right.
We want to do it in enough time so as to have 2 deliberation sessions. The only caveat, and I may ask you guys for a little relief there, is that my schedule for the next 40 days is like 30 town meetings. So I'm gonna, if I need a little bit extra time just to get them, but the idea would be to get it in as close to 40 days possible.
Well, but to remind me what we did last time, Jay, in terms of our ability to comment on the draft decision.
Yeah, you'll see it when I
No,
give it to the
in
board.
terms of commenting.
Because we're not in.
I've never known you to be shy, Lou, so
But I'm saying that for the board to consider our comment.
they can consider your comments. It doesn't have to be a public hearing.
Okay. Even though we closed it.
Right, because there's no new facts.
Okay. I
So
got it.
that would be fine. I mean, you've seen
No, I understand.
You've seen my draft decision, so the boilerplate is the boilerplate. You know that we're incorporating a lot of a bunch of stuff from Lucas and HSH and a few other things. So I don't think there's going to be a ton of surprises here.
So in terms of scheduling, what would you suggest?
Well, I don't, I think let's try and get this done within 40 days. I just have to find a day, some days that work that I can sit with the board.
So you're comfortable with the 40 days?
I
aspirational, yes. So, but we're gonna try and schedule right now.
Okay.
Are you recommending separate or when we're regularly scheduled?
Well, I think, we've done this before, so I don't think I think it depends how heavy your May meetings are gonna be with other public hearings.
I'd like to get something on.
We only have. We have 2 public hearings. The only thing is our May meeting is earlier than usual, so we have a shorter timeframe in between, so May 6th.
May 6th. All right, so weirdly, because I almost gave this data up.
Too much.
The
You've got
May 6th, I can make work.
Great.
Oh, so we're actually being our regular meeting and then we're gonna.
Yeah, we're only doing May 6th, which is our regular meeting, but not our regular date.
Right.
I know it's not our regular day, but we're
But
gonna include this on our May.
But what do
6th.
what do we have? We have the one we continued until that. Do we have something else for?
Yeah, we have a variant.
Variance. Say that. Probably not English.
No.
I mean, if I recall correctly, you two did some really good work getting those things in condition, so that when you
I
just.
think between
when you go through-
Laura
when you
and
go through that.
myself,
Yeah.
I mean, she gets me to a really good place where I'm working mostly on conditions, but I think we can get something that's pretty good.
Okay.
And then if we think we have to chew on something, we'll schedule something else. And if we
Okay.
need a little extra time, we could ask these
Yeah.
nice gentlemen over here.
That's how I've done it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that should be fine. I mean, I think it's not the most complicated project in the world. The other one, 120, was much more complicated because we had some other moving parts.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now we're ready for Doris's recommendation.
Procedurally, is it just voting to close tonight?
Just voting to close.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on 250 Turnpike Road project. 40
Second.
All right, motion to close the public hearing has been made in second. All in favor, respond aye. Opposed, nay. Jamie?
Aye.
Doris?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. And Doug?
Aye.
Check those public hearings.
That sounds like a Mike motion.
We're not voting on.
Ah,
We'll figure out
You mean Jay?
Jay's motion. He's not allowed to motion.
Jay helping, like.
That's the motion.
Yeah, but we'll plan. to Look at the conditions for the next listening.
We'll do the first job.
Okay, first draft, yeah.
Thank you to everyone and thank you to the peer reviewers.
thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you to the abutters.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick. Very nice.
We don't.
Oh, my
Vote
God.
on it, right?
What did I call it?
I have no deal.
I can't get- Kids or wives.
I think we sort of got.
Get in line.
Have a good day, everyone.
There's more homework. You have to do.
Get in line behind wife, because I can't do none of that.
You look at your balls, like, oh, I know that it's 10 hours.
All right, what do we
It doesn't
do
matter.
now?
I mean, no one can
Close
go
our-
there.
Yeah.
Ready to
Like,
vote.
we
Oh, now
can't
it's
get
left.
it.
The mics pick up everything, so.
Okay, like what we said. The mic.
Oh,
that's the motion, okay.
Yeah, this is very different from the call because we've got the only mics.
And the chairs are upstairs, that's right, yeah.
Nightmare.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so there's nothing else to do with that.
No.
Did all the post.
Okay.
Right, I don't think we had anything else to cover tonight.
Is it my time to shine?
Your time,
Please.
Paul.
Go, shine.
My favorite time of the day.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this fine meeting.
Second.
All right, motion to adjourn has been made with a second. All in favor, respond with aye. Opposed, nay. Jamie?
Aye.
Doris?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Doug?
Aye.
Williams? Aye. Thank you, everybody. Good work tonight.
Good to see you.
Okay, nice to say thanks so much.